So welcome to Blended Agenda, guys. It's going to be very specific, this show. It's going to deal with blended families because it's something that doesn't get discussed very often, quite frankly. Specifically from the angle of men. Now, I know there's going to be lots of blowback about, oh, here we go, men again, patriarchy, all that stuff, but that's fine. I do believe that men are particularly challenged in this regard, and I think mostly because men don't talk. We tend to bottle the feelings up inside, and then we tend to kind of just bulldoze our way through as best we can and just kind of swallow up all this anger and sometimes rage that we feel. And sometimes that comes out in very, very bad ways. If you are not, let's say, sophisticated or, say, educated or have enough outlets in the form of sport or buddies or anything like that, it can come out in a very ugly way. So I'm hoping that Blended Agenda is going to be a resource, a tool of sorts for men to come and get in touch with the fact that they're not alone with these challenges within a blended family household, that your challenges are perhaps quite common. Other men are feeling it as well. They're going through similar sorts of things. I'm hoping that it's going to become a tool for possible solutions, things that you can explore. Maybe there's a thing or two, a little nugget that you haven't thought of, and maybe you can borrow that from others who are going through similar sorts of things. It's going to be fairly regular guys. They are going to be fairly recognizable guys, names that you've known, faces that you've seen before, but also experts occasionally, people who deal with this on a professional level, counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, that sorts of things. Can give us an academic look at this, maybe throw a bit of data, some stats in, and help from a professional point of view. So I'm hoping that's where it's going to go in the end. But today we're just going to have a little bit of fun. I want you to note the styling of Blended Agenda. It's written like that for a particular reason. Agenda, I'm sure you all know what that means. The duplicity of gender and sexuality. Gender, male and female, and of course the agenda, the thing that we're going to be talking about on a regular basis. So today we're going to be delving into the fun aspects of blended family, because besides the fact that it's hard and difficult and challenging and all those kinds of great things, it's also fun. There's a lot of interesting stories that you have within blended families. We first maybe set the scene for those of you who don't know what blended families are, because I said to somebody the other day, the podcast is going to be about blended families. And he said to me, do you mean like a black guy and a white guy marrying? And I'm going, maybe, but no. I wasn't thinking that way. I was more thinking about there's him with his kids and there's her with her kids, and then often they have the glue kid, that one kid together. So he's hers and theirs, and that one's meant to be the glue to kind of get the families to stick. And sometimes it works and sometimes it goes horribly, horribly wrong. So there's the traditional modern blended family. He's got one or two kids, she's got one or two kids, and there's the one or two kids from the two of them together. That's the sort of the baseline, I think, when it comes to modern blended families. But there's so many variations of that. His and his, hers and hers. He's got a kid and she doesn't. She's got a kid and he doesn't. And one's got more than the other. And maybe there's a grandma and a grandpa involved. And it really gets quite complicated. So the problem then is it's not a one-fits-all kind of solution. You've got to speak about each one of those blends significantly, because you can't cut and paste the solution to everybody. Sometimes it applies and sometimes it doesn't. So I've got Lance Witten with me today. Now, when it comes to real men, Lance, in my opinion, fits that bill perfectly, because a guy, picture the story, right? A guy meets a girl and she's lovely, but she's also pregnant. She's a good couple of months pregnant with another man's child. Lance Witten steps in, on his name is Lance, so Lancelot, on his white horse, and he swoops this pregnant woman off her feet. And not only does he marry her, but he raises that child as his own. So it's not technically a blended family, because presumably that child, Lance is the only dad that child then knows, but there are other kids in the mix already. So then it becomes a blended family scenario. Lance Witten, thanks. That must be fun.
Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it really is. My oldest daughter is 16, and it was, we had we've slowly, COVID kind of impacted our relationship quite badly. So I wasn't able to see her and my son as often as I could, and there was a period during which my relationship with my teenager broke down, and we're slowly starting to rebuild that. We had a very great heart-to-heart about 2-3 months back, and it was interesting to hear coming out of her mouth what she was saying about, I didn't want to hate Mila. Mila's our little one.
Okay, it's the little one, yes.
I didn't want to hate Mila because she got the best of you. You know, I missed out on you taking me to school and singing and, you know, playing music together and braaiing together.
That's got to hit, eh?
And yeah, and I mean, I was amazed at her maturity. And you know, I mean, there was a very difficult and very honest and very open conversation that needed to be had, and we had that conversation, and I'm really glad that we've kind of gotten over that now. So yeah, I mean, it does make for interesting times. You know, my son is 10, turning 11 next month, so you know, having 16, 10, and 7, the gap is so big that you know you can't do one thing with all of them at the same time. So, you know, part of making a blended family work is also finding time for just private time with me and my eldest, private time with myself and my son, private time. Well, obviously Mila lives in my house, so, you know, she's there all the time.
Emphasis on all the time. And you've got a new one on the way as well. You've just announced on socials, eh?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we are expecting a little girl, much to my son's disappointment, because he
nice gender reveal, by the way. With
thanks, man. we didn't want to, you know, I hate gender reveals. Oh God, I hate them. I hate the balloons or the, you know, the big fuss, and they can go so horribly wrong. And
we do it for the girls. We do it for the ladies.
I know. And my wife said, you know, how about a private gender reveal? I said, I know, like in the gynae's office when we see the gender, that's private enough. And she said, no, you know, we'll get somebody that we trust to have the gender reveal to them. They will then tell the baker to ice the cake in a certain way. And what we noticed was that, and I mean, this woman was absolutely amazing. You know, she was great. But some of the icing was a very hot day. Some of the icing was melting off. And had we waited like 10 minutes longer, we would have seen the pink frosting.
The gender would have revealed itself to you.
Yeah.
Before I go on to Yusuf Daniels, who's you guys know is a I want to say world-renowned author. I want to ask you this question before I go to Yusuf. And it's a tough question, but I think it's an important question. Are you okay with your wife parenting your children from your previous relationship?
It's an interesting question, Bobby, because you know it can get quite challenging and quite difficult. I mean, I've seen in other blended families, I mean, friends of ours, you know, where the mother of the child, who's our friend, doesn't like the way the new wife parents, you know, and it's difficult because there are things as a parent that you will not allow, but like because it's not my child, it's okay. So it is a tricky one. I mean, for me, myself and my wife are a team, right? And we've discussed things among ourselves. We understand. So before an issue crops up, we already know kind of how to play it. I don't want to out my daughter, but there was a situation over the festive period where, you know, she wanted something and I wasn't sure that her mom would be okay with that thing. And I had a conversation with Lisa about it, and she said, look, you know, she's here to visit you. She's not here to visit her friends. And I think you need to sort of lay down the law. So in that way, I think we work well as a team. And yeah, I mean, I like how open she is with Hannah. I like how open she is with Gabriel. And yeah, I mean, the way she parents them is the way she would, her own children.
Good.
So
because that's really the trick. It's a fine line. But hold that thought, Lance. Yusuf Daniels is here as well. Thanks for joining me. So this was a whole. Firstly, before I go to Yusuf for the whole blended conversation, it was a potluck lunch that we've arranged, and the instruction was that everybody brings. And this is what I said. I said you've got to bring and cook the meal that you believe you should be world famous for. That was the instruction. So Lance has made apologies. He's got a bit of a family matter that he's dealing with, which is why he couldn't prepare his potluck contribution today. And I forgive him, but it's a good out. Yusuf was the only one. I also didn't do my potluck. I've got my own excuses, but I will in future. Yusuf was the only one who managed and who dared. So first, before you tell me anything else, what did you bring for us?
Right. So guys, this is an egg fried rice with chicken. Right now, you've never tasted egg fried rice with chicken like this.
Okay. How long did this take you to prepare?
No, not long. About 3 hours, yeah. so guys, I'm Muslim first. So it was Friday yesterday. I can't lie. I can't so lieg. I actually bought this up the road.
I passed the Asian place.
No. It's a place called Noodles, Buns and Bones. They make the best food. And I called him. I said, listen, I need food.
Why didn't you cook though? I said, make something.
Like I said, I don't lie. Especially not a Friday, Saturday, I don't lie. I can't cook. Other day I'm okay, I cannot cook to save my life.
Can you not cook?
No, I've never tried. I've tried. They all said, the kids said it was great. I could see on their faces they lying.
Is this the reason why you have gotten married 3 times? Because you can't cook? Are you looking for somebody to feed you?
I like how you just threw in that 3 times there to the whole world. But thank you, now that you all know it's 3 times.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yes,
for your
it was
latest
a month
nuptials,
ago.
yeah?
Yes. It's absolutely amazing. It's just she's a lot younger than me.
Okay.
But I'm absolutely loving it.
When you say a lot, what are we talking? 10 years? 5 years?
22 years younger
22
than
years,
me.
all right.
Yeah. So here's the issue with the 22 years younger. Right? The only issue I have. I've got 3 kids. She's got 1 child.
Okay.
I'm kind of done with kids now.
Oh.
Because school fees is most expensive. That's the main thing.
How old is her child, if you don't mind me asking?
He's 4.
Oh.
Cutest little 4-year-old.
So you've kind of started all over again now. Pretty
But
much.
now she wants 2 more kids. That is my issue. They're not 1. She's at Gafrit. She wants 2. Yeah.
2 more.
Save it to me.
And how's this conversation going, Yusuf? How is this conversation going?
Bobby, I am one of those people, if you know me, I go with what God puts out there. Whatever must be, even if it's not going to happen, it won't happen. And it will happen on his time, not our time. We can plan all we like, and I go with it.
Okay.
I welcome it.
Are you happy with to go through the pajama drill again at...
I'm not going to say I am happy, but like I said in my 3rd book, Living Nassau, dollar what you must.
Yeah.
You must dollar what you must.
Well-known author. So, by the way, very quickly before we continue blended agenda conversations, how are your books going?
Okay, 5 books, 4 years later. Let's just say, and I'm saying this out of, just so people can realize and understand how poor our reading culture is. The average author right now, so you said your dad wants to write a book. I'm not saying he's going to sell this amount of books, but the average author in this country sells 500 books right now. That's it in your lifetime.
Good or bad?
Shocking.
Shockingly bad.
Shockingly bad because the bestseller status is 5,000 books.
Okay.
I've sold over 35,000 books now.
35,000?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm a hustler by nature, boss.
Good on you.
Dollar what you must.
Congratulations.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. But
what do you owe that down to? What is that? Is that because they're particularly good? Your marketing is spectacular, social media? What is it?
you eat the nail on the head. So God first, I believe, and then social media.
Okay.
People do not realize the power of social media. 90% of my sales come from social media. 10% come from your exclusive books, your bargain books, the bookstores.
Wow.
But it's hard work. I'm 8 hours a day on social media every day. I post 3 times a day. You have to. We've got 105,000 followers on the one page, 30 on TikTok. I just started TikTok. I've got 30,000 followers on there. But it's hard work.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Funny you mentioned TikTok because I follow you and your one daughter. I think her name Tamina. She's
Yes.
lovely, and her Afrikaans is quite funny. Go check it out. We'll
it's
put some links in.
beautiful.
We'll put some links in the description. It's been a lovely girl. Let's talk about blend. I mean, you are now quintessentially. So you've got your 3 daughters from your first marriage, right?
2 daughters and a son.
2 daughters and a son from your first marriage.
Yes.
Any kids from your second marriage?
No.
No. Third marriage, she has got
Yes.
a
A 4-year-old boy.
A 4-year-old boy. This is a massive blend. Does everybody get along with everybody else?
They have to. I come from Mitchell's Plain, my bro. If you have to get along, there's no other way, whether you like it or not. That's how we roll. No, listen, Bobby, I believe it's how you bring up your kids. And when new things happen, they have to adapt to the new.
Yes.
But you also need to constantly, I'm sure you know that, speak to them. And you try and make them understand. Like he says, they're 3 different kids, different ages, different kids. But you must try and make them understand this is good. It's for the better. You know, listen, first marriage was amazing, 17 years. Second marriage, I married my best friend. We shouldn't have gotten married. We're still best friends today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And like my ex-wife says, the first ex-wife says, I gave her a part in book 5. She said how not to be a cuck ex-husband or wife. I gave her her own chapter, and she says in there, Yusuf is the best ex-husband anybody could have asked for. Yeah, no, I don't want. I'm Muslim. I don't want to break. But okay, I'm gonna put it out there.
Look, I mean,
yeah. No, but that's what she says.
This is a very important thing that you've touched on, because while we might be able to teach our kids to get along, it's often the adults that don't.
Yeah.
It's often the ex who doesn't want to get along with the current, or vice versa, and then the kids are caught in the middle. But you've managed to get so. Let me do your new wife, the month-old long wife,
Yes.
the young lady you married.
She's not a month old. The marriage is a month. Stop it. It's 22
get the
years.
the language
Yeah.
straight. Does she, being a younger lady, and I'm going to assume, hopefully correctly, that your first and second ex-wives are older than her.
Yes.
So do they get along, being different generations?
They do actually. My first wife, the mother of my kids, I introduced her. We had something to eat, and it was so amazing.
Wow.
For the first time, not too long ago, and they got along like house on fire. They were just, but like I said to you, they both know I don't really do drama. I don't ascribe to drama.
Okay, yeah.
So, and what does it take away from you just to be nice to someone?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you must remember, they're going to be in your life.
This is true. But do you ever catch them talking to one another about Yusuf,
yeah, listen,
what's Yusuf like with
I
you?
don't catch them, but so now and then I look and they're both smiling, so I must have done something lekker. You know what I mean? I don't know what they're discussing there, but yeah, they're always smiling. So
I wonder
yeah.
if the ones comparing certain Yusufs to the other with the other one.
They will. I promise you, that's going to happen.
I'm sure ladies probably
Yeah.
know. So what, does Yusuf do that with you as well? He used to do it with me as well back in the day. Look, I mean, it's a wonderful scenario. I was saying before we started recording that, I grew up with a situation similar to that, where as a youngster, I didn't realize the impact and how important this was. But I've noticed an uncle of mine, whom I was very fond of, after having divorced his wife, whom the family was very fond of. And she continued being part of the family, even when she remarried another man. And that man became part of the family as well, and we all liked him.
Great.
And then my uncle, met another lady whom he brought into the family, and she was lovely, and she was his girlfriend for many years. And she then became part of the family in a way. And there was a moment in my young childhood where everybody was just in the same space at the same time. And my uncle and his ex-wife's new husband, they were chummy, having a drink together and laughing and having a chat together. And the ex-wife and the new girlfriend were laughing and getting on. And I didn't realize what an impact this had on my psyche and my belief now that adults should do everything in their power to get on, especially as exes, especially if there are kids involved.
You don't realize that those kids are watching everything you do and say. So you are an example of, remember, they must still grow up. If you're going to be up towards your ex, they're going to pick up those vibes and they could become that person.
Yes.
So, like I said, we all get along, and the kids love it. And they get along with everybody as well. Do you know what I mean? So, but you know what? People complicate things unnecessarily, I think. It's not, I know there's different circumstances. Oh, you're going to hear now, yeah, but my ex-husband, he doesn't this, he betaling maintenance and this, and that's another story. You know what I mean? But when it comes to just communication is key. I think that's one of the most important things with everybody involved.
Yeah. It's very important. Your food is delicious.
No, I know. Even
It's
the flies
attracting a
love it.
few flies here that we have to just be aware of very quickly.
Yeah.
Lance, just to you quickly. I mean, I always forget your title these days because you keep on being promoted and just, the man does really well for himself. I know you are the head honcho at IOL. What's it now again?
Editor-in-chief.
Editor-in-chief of IOL. So in a way, you're kind of an author as well, a little bit, a lot of writing going on there as well.
Yeah.
That's quite phenomenal. I mean, when you hear sales like this from Yusuf's book, that bestseller is 5,000 and the man's reached 35,000. That's quite phenomenal.
It's inspiring. Like I want to write. It's a matter of I want to know how do you start? Because there's all these different ideas and you've got them. How do you formulate? And you go, actually, this doesn't go with that. This needs to be saved for another thing. How is that?
Right, so I do writers' workshops. I will send you the details. You can pay first. Make the
Okay,
payment first,
lovely.
and then I will let you know.
I was hoping I could sneak that in there.
He's that guy. No. We'll have that chat. That's a long chat.
Some IP involved.
Yeah, it's not as difficult as people make it out to be. I promise you. Lance, I've never written before. 4 years ago. I'm not an academic. I've got no English degree. Yet I've got almost 3 of my 5 books are bestsellers. It's the story that matters. There's editors for the rest. There's layout people for the rest. There's printers for the rest. It's not as difficult, I promise you. And I mean, you coming from the background you come from, it's probably going to be one of the easiest things you've done in your life, I promise you.
I think I've heard many authors also say that it's a very practical matter of allocating the time on a daily basis.
There we go.
And actually sitting down and just doing it for an hour or for 45 minutes. And if it comes to naught, if it comes to nothing, if everything you've just written is just complete BS and you've got to delete everything, do that anyway. Because at some point something valuable is going to come out. So, I mean, I don't know if that helps in any way. Do you miss, because I mean, Lance Whitten has done so many things over the years, radio, TV for a long while, print, now IOL. Do you miss TV? Do you miss radio? Do you miss any of that?
I miss radio, man. Radio is my first love. I miss it deeply.
Your current boss might hear this. Just heads up.
And he also they also own a radio station.
There you go.
So,
yes.
sorry.
There you go. Yes.
So I miss radio deeply because of the very personal, very real connection you can make with people. And it's an immediate connection. Digital media is sort of where it's at, and digital strategy is kind of where my thought process and my path is taking me right now. How to make the best impact on social media, how to learn to read the algorithms in such a way that you can be successful at it. But yeah, I miss radio. It's a beautiful medium.
But you're doing well at IOL now as well. Let's delve into what, because Yusuf just said a few very critical things that made me think of you. For example, having exes get along. And without, we don't necessarily want to badmouth anybody, so we'll try not to. But sometimes truths must be spoken. Do your current wife, does she get on with your ex-wife? Is there an understanding there at least that is valuable to the kids? A simple yes or no will do.
I think they've exchanged maybe 5 words.
Have they? All right.
It's we don't have the best relationship. And I mean, I am largely to blame for that.
Okay.
I mean, I was.
Why do you say that? How do you blame yourself?
During that time, I wasn't a great husband.
Okay.
I mean, there were
with your
times
ex-wife.
With my ex-wife, there were
that's
times
quite an admission, eh?
Yeah.
Listen, it takes a man to admit stuff like this. Eh? Not every guy would do what he's doing. I take my hat off to you.
You've got to own it.
No, 100%.
If you look back, because here's the thing, right? And I'm a similar scenario that I'll tell you about, because my partner has an ex-husband, I have an ex-wife, and there were times when you maybe didn't make the best decisions because we were young people, we were full of steam, full of bravado, big egos, and we maybe made bad decisions as young lads, and then you grow up, you become you're no longer a youngos, and now you look back and you go, wow, you start learning things. We grow, right? Everybody grows.
Absolutely.
So that person that you knew when you maybe first met your ex-wife, say 15 years ago, is no longer the same person. Nobody's the same person 2 days in a row. You are, I've got a mantra that I live by, you are the product of your experiences. Every day you grow a little based on what you did and learned and read and saw yesterday. So making that admission in this growth and saying, I'm to blame for it, how do you fix it?
So the first, I've taken, I'd say myself and my daughter have taken that first step. We've had very open, very honest conversations with each other. I mean, she's 16 years old. She's a young lady now. She's in grade 11 this year. And I needed to tell her that I acknowledge that I was a terrible husband. And I don't think all the time, but I also needed her to understand the difference between being a husband and being a father, and that the decision for us to split was better for us as parents. My ex-wife is an incredible mother. She sacrifices a lot. She sacrifices everything. I mean, she worked really hard. And I mean, it was part of that. We were growing up, and we were growing and not together. We were growing on separate growth paths. So how I fix that is, I mean, it's very difficult because I don't like confrontation. I'm naturally averse to confrontation. She is a very confrontational person by nature. She's going to call you out. She's going to be straight with you, and that's not really in my nature. I've learned that I need to suck it up and deal with it and say, listen, the time has come. Just lay it on me, man. Just tell me how how I made you feel.
Confrontation can be quite healthy, especially if it's from somebody who cares about you and who cares about your growth. And if you're sharing a space and sharing kids, having somebody call you out pretty much and say, "Listen, that's a BS thing you just did. That's you're not acting maturely, or you're not being responsible, whatever the case may be. Whatever you word, maybe they could use ugly words also, depending on the person. But being called out is essential to growth, I think. When you say what you do, when you use very strong words, you say, "I was a terrible husband," and I want to just pause for a moment, because terrible husbands don't necessarily make terrible dads, and vice versa. You can be an awful husband and be a great father, and it applies to women as well, But when you say, "I was a terrible husband," do you absolve your ex-wife from terribleness? Was she not equally bad?
Be careful what you say now.
So I think I've grown a lot over the years, and I've had to spend a lot of time working on myself.
Yes.
And what I have realized is that you can't make me do something, right? You can't make me behave in a certain way. I'm in control of my feelings and my actions and my decisions. So, did she cause me to be a terrible husband? No. Those were my decisions. I dealt with the situation incorrectly. Maybe the situation wasn't favorable for a healthy relationship, but I could have responded to it better. We both could. But that's not for me to judge her for that. That's on me. And probably, as one of my best friends said this to me, that the most difficult thing to do, I mean, he told me this like over and over again, and he's still reminding me about this 20 years later. You need to learn to forgive yourself for what you did, and you've not yet forgiven. So you keep beating yourself up for those shitty things you
We
did.
hate our younger selves, don't we?
You know,
You look back and you go like, "I cannot believe I was that
Yeah.
asshole as a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that I was that guy. How did people tolerate me?" Do you like your 25-year-old, Yusuf? Your 25-year-old self?
I don't remember much when I was 25, Bobby. So yeah, I was very busy at the time. but you know what? I like what you said there. I'm going to use myself as an example. So I had business, flourishing business. I was living my best life at one stage in the marriage, right? And I lost everything. Then things started to turn a little bit, because it was just a struggle. For 7 years, I was struggling. So it's in the books, right? In Living the Hustle. And I thought to myself, when we got divorced, I said to myself, you know what? I don't blame this woman. I don't blame her. She now needs, because, guys, when I say struggle, I had to go park my car at the beach, stand there. You know when that needle goes like this? Right? And you're sitting there and you thinking, how am I going to make sure those kids eat tonight? It was that bad. And that happened many a nights. And then there were times where I got home and I would have just enough for them. And they'd ask, "Dad, you're not eating?" And Tamina was big already by then. And I would say, "No, I've eaten already."
Yeah.
So
We
you
do that,
go
don't
to
we?
bed without eating. But then I realized anybody, so I don't say she left me for that reason, but I don't blame her. And then I realized I wasn't the greatest husband. I tried, believe me, I tried, but for some reason it didn't work out, but I didn't provide. And then, like you say, you need to forgive yourself. And I learned to forgive myself for maybe not being that great father, or maybe I think I was always there for my kids, whether I had food in my house or not. Believe me, I would take my children for a walk to the park, which is around the corner, which cost nothing. And that presence is sometimes more important than presents.
Absolutely.
I believe.
Absolutely.
And this is why I'm sure you've seen the relationship I have with my kids. It's crazy. It is crazy. And I promote that. So I forgave myself then. And it's amazing when you forgive yourself. You just move on.
Life gets better.
It just gets
So
better.
much better.
Stop being stuck in what could have happened, what you should have done. It's done. It's done. Need to move on.
And this is I think one of the big challenges for men in blended families, because we are by nature, as I said at the beginning, we withhold our feelings, one, and two, we're by nature disciplinarians, right? Mothers are the soft nurturing ones. We're the ones who want a little bit of discipline.
So you think?
Well, for the most part. It's a generalization for the most part. But are you allowed in your current home with your current wife to parent your new 4-year-old? Your what Nikki, what my partner calls your bonus child.
Bonus.
My bonus child. I like that actually. I'm gonna call him my bonus child from now on.
Your bonus child.
Yeah, yeah,
Are
yeah.
you allowed to parent your bonus child in your way, in Yusuf's way?
Bobby, so what I did, she's such a calm woman. You know, she's young, but she's just such a calm person. And she knows the relationship I have with my kids. So if these kids are like this,
Yes.
I'm sure she would like her kid to be something similar to that.
I see.
So how did Yusuf do this? So I said to her from the beginning, listen here, I'm made this decision. I love you. I love your child, right? I'm going to get to know your child. But if he steps out of line, I won't kill your child. But there's a way that I'm going to
But I
react.
might just get very close.
I might just move him a little bit. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Go with me on social media. But I'm used to that, Bobby, anyway. And then she said to me, and we know what she does. She just leaves me now. But she knows I'm doing it with the kids' interest, with my bonus child's interest that are. Do you know what I mean? The problem I have with this, Bobby, is we do this at our house. He goes to the grandparents and they spoil him.
Yes,
And he gets away with a lot.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and he tries his luck, and then I say, hey, I'll lock you up in the toilet, eh? That's just a thing, guys. It's nothing serious. Don't stress.
The extended this is the other thing that eventually we'll have to talk about. It's the extended blended family. Because you may be marrying somebody who's got kids of her own or kids of his own, who they've also got parents, and those parents have been grandparenting that kid for a while. And sometimes there's a guilt aspect to that. Because, your mom's gone or your dad's gone. So there's a bit of guilt that comes, whatever you want. You want to eat chocolate at 10 o'clock at night? Yeah, sure. So there's a little bit of guilt that comes with that. And then you step into the fold as a disciplinarian new dad, and you want to temper that, or you want to stop that from happening, and there could be that can result in conflict.
You know what's interesting, Bobby, because I've it's something that's not bothered me, but it has been sitting on my mind a little bit. You know, my in-laws, they so badly want to be grandparents to, well, my mom-in-law passed away earlier last year, but you know, they so badly wanted to be grandparents, additional grandparents to my two other children. And if I look at my parents, who were not really given that opportunity to be as present in my children's life as they would have liked. Mila slept over there a couple of times, you know, and I said to Lisa early on in our relationship, you know, thank you for letting my parents do that, you know, because they didn't have that with my two, you know.
Yes.
So it's quite interesting, because you have to consider
The grandparents, because
as
grandparents
well.
are important.
Absolutely.
You know, we must be careful how much of my view on this is that when you go visit your grandparents' house, anything goes there.
Yeah.
Grandma wants to let you stay up till midnight, you know, be eating sugar and bounce around the bed. This is grandma's business. But that's at grandma's house. You know, and so you're not allowed to do that here, and grandma is not allowed to allow
Bobby,
you to
I
let
disagree.
you do that here. Do you disagree?
My rules go in my parents' house.
Is it?
They are valid everywhere.
Now, you see, the reason I differ, I used to think like that as well. But my thing is, I also want my kids to have very cool memories of their grandparents. I also want them to, when they're older, tell stories about the times when they went to visit grandma, and grandma used to let them eat chocolates at 1 o'clock in the morning. So that's also cool. I don't want them to just have dad's rules everywhere. Do you know what I mean?
No,
grandma's rules can apply at grandma's house. But grandma's rules don't apply at my house. And certainly grandma can't come to my house and apply her rules in my house. When she's in my house, then she's got to
But
apply.
she will, eh?
Well,
Do you know grandma?
Yeah.
They do.
Do you, Lance, and sorry, Yusuf, let me go to you, because this is a question on my mind right now. Your older kids, when you married your new wife and with the 4-year-old, because that was your decision, not theirs.
Yeah.
How did they adapt to their bonus sibling? That suddenly appeared out of the blue, that they did not plan for or knew was going to happen.
Like I said, I will always say, your kids become who you are. So
Yes.
my kids are generally calm children. They are just happy children, because I'm not always happy, but I'm happy most of the time. So that rubs off. And when they met the bonus child, a gorgeous little 4-year-old. I've never met a 4-year-old this intelligent, seriously. And so he's very manipulative. He's a very clever child. He knows, he tries and gets away with a lot of things.
Yes.
Very sharp, like he. But And Tamina is, by the way, he says Tamina's his girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a problem, firstly.
This is a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Nip that.
Yeah, I'm going to stop that right there.
But-
Yeah, that's no. Yeah. And they are both Indian, so you know it's a problem.
So
yeah,
here's
yeah.
a different blended family aspect.
Yes, yes.
Essentially. Yeah.
So you're lucky he's 4. She's
Illegal, by the way.
I'm saying she's 4. He's 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's not go there.
It's illegal, by the way.
Yeah, no, now, but not when you're 53 and 31. You see, they'll throw that at me. But let's go there. That's another topic for another day. But do you know how well they get along with him? Like I said again, because they're easy kids.
Yes.
And that helps a lot. They make life easy for me because now he just wants to be around them now.
Nice.
And guess what?
Yes.
We get a break.
Yeah, you are.
Because a 4-year-old can be very busy.
Yeah, you get some relief.
And they influence each other as well.
No, they do.
You know,
And that's what's nice as well, because
It rubs off.
your whatever it is that your culture, your domestic culture that you taught your kids,
Yeah.
they teach the younger siblings. So it's all you, all the way down.
Yeah.
Lance, tell me, are you and with your kids from your previous relationship, how does your wife, does she parent them? Does she get involved actively in the parenting? So if they step out of line, are you okay? And is your ex-wife okay with her going, hey, and disciplining them?
I don't think my ex-wife knows about it.
Okay. She does now.
But yeah, I mean, you know, if Hannah says something that's out of line, I mean, they don't, you know, I mean, they're really, really good kids. But she would, you know, I mean, if Gabriel does something, I see Gabriel a little more often than I do Hannah. So he's with me every second weekend. And, you know, if on the rare occasion he does something, you know, she'll be like, hey, hang on, that's not okay what you just did. And, you know, he responds to it, he respects it, and he's got, you know, we have a really good relationship. But, you know, I want to come back to the influencing each other, because when I notice if I'm in a space where it's just Hannah and Gabriel, right, he's very much the younger brother. He's very much the baby brother. When he's at my place with Mila, he's a grown man. He's the big brother. He's teaching her how to swim.
Yes.
You know, she doesn't want me in the pool with her, but Gabriel can go into the pool with her. I can't take her into the deep water, but Gabriel can take her into the deep water. If we're at the beach and Gabriel does something silly and dunks himself in the water, Mila will do exactly the same. But she wouldn't do that if he's not around. So it's very interesting to see
how they
that,
influence each other.
Yeah, and
Are your other kids all excited about the new arrival that's on the way?
so I haven't spoken to Gabriel yet. Now that we know the gender, I had to do some very deep explaining to him. You know, because it was a conversation that came up at work where, yes, I do have favorites at work. So what? But one of my middle management tiers and I were having a discussion on our private closed WhatsApp group. And I said, oh, yes, those two, my favorites. And they said, no, they're like your children. You're not allowed to have favorites. And I said, no. At work, I am allowed to have favorites. My children, I don't have favorites. You know, and I explained this to Hannah and Gabriel also. You know, there's 3 of you guys now, right? And it doesn't mean that there's 100% of my love split three ways. It's not, you know, 33.3 recurring 33 and 33.
And now
so
it's
now there's a fourth one. It's going to be 25, you know. It's like each of you get 100% of my love. I just love you guys differently. I have a different kind of love for Hannah. She's my first love, man. You know, you don't know true love until you hold your child. It's like, you know, your wife, I would kill for her. I would die for my children. It's a different story. You know, it's
you know, this is an interesting thing. Sorry to jump in there, Lance, but I don't know. This is a technique that I learned ages ago, and maybe you can try it, dads, with your kids. If you have several kids, you pull them aside one at a time. You've got to be very careful how you do this, and you've got to recurringly, often. This is a consistent thing you do. You've got to say to each one of your kids that they are your favorite, but they're not allowed to tell the others.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Yeah. So what happens is one day when you're 6 feet under, you know, and they're remembering you many years later, it's going to come out at some point. One of them is going to say, I was Dad's favorite. And the others are going to go, no, I was Dad's favorite. And the other one's going to, no, but it was me. And then they'll cotton on. And you're going to be the good guy. You're going to be the guy. They're going to go, oh, we were actually all Dad's favorite. But give it a shot. You'll see that they'll come and share little privacies with you, little secrets with you, because you're most their favorite, you see?
Yeah, it works.
And it's cool. But I want to, before we say goodbye and taste this delicious meal that Yusuf so kindly brought today, the only one cooked today, just kind of a sum up, because I think
Slaved over the card machine.
exactly. The guys out there who are particularly challenged, who, because it's very different when you're dating somebody who has a child and you've got a child, and then you decide to live together. That transition can be hard, because now it's the day-to-day grind and you're having to pay bills and do those kinds of things. That's a shock to the system. That, I mean, when that happened for you, you and your new wife are living together already, Yusuf.
Yeah, we are.
How do you make that transition easily, where you go like, okay, I'm the dad, I'm going to be parenting this new kid, or do you have a conversation up front?
We had the conversation up front. We laid all our cards on the table, and we agreed. It's like I said, I think people just overthink.
They overthink it, yeah.
In general, anything in life, people just overthink. It's not that difficult. You sit, you communicate, you get to a point where you both say, okay, yeah, A, B, or C. Okay, B works for both of us. Right, let's try it. And then you.
And if it doesn't work, you
apply.
try something else.
Then you try something else. It's that simple. But you both, like you say, you must be on the same page, though.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't one go in that direction, the other one that way. You're gonna have Diamaka children. That's just how it's gonna be.
And Lance, when you we started out by saying you married a pregnant woman. How do you parent?
Well, she gave birth before we got married.
But you know what I mean. You started dating somebody who was
Yeah.
pregnant with not your child. How do you parent that child, and how do you and that child's dad get along?
She's my child, man. She doesn't know any other father. I don't speak to him. I don't know him. Never met him. Not interested in having a relationship with him. For our own reasons, Lisa and my own reasons. But, I mean, that she is my child,
Okay.
And I refer to her when I speak to Hannah and Gabriel. I say, I'll tell Gabriel, put your seatbelt on for your sister, And I mean, there were times where it'd be like stepsister, the response would come. And I mean, with our new baby on the way, effectively would be a half sister.
Yeah. But now you have essentially a step sister in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because biologically you're not actually that child's dad. So that makes it quite. So I mean, it's quite a delicate situation, isn't it?
No, it is. And I mean, like you say, people tend to overthink things. And like for us, it's, we've made it work without sparing a second thought. Weirdly enough, I mean, obviously her surname is her mom's surname.
Yes.
Right? So it's odd that she now that we're married, is the only one in the family with a different surname.
Yes.
So today we were wrapping a school diary, and because we only managed to get the stickers that she wanted today. You can't cover the book like that. It needs to have these stickers on it. So we got the stickers, stuck the stickers, and Lisa was writing her name on the name sticker, and I said, "But write Mila Witten," and it was the first time that we've got Mila Witten now, written down. I mean, it's the process that needs to go through. We need to go to Home Affairs and have it changed and all that kind of thing. But it's very much an organic process. It's not been something that, okay, we're sitting down, we're discussing, and this is, we're having serious talk now about. It's the most difficult conversation was where I introduced when I told my dad that I had met someone and she is pregnant. And my dad, as my dad does, takes it in his stride. And he told me much later that when he told my mom, she was like, but now Lance is not going to raise somebody else's child. And, why must he go for somebody with baggage? My dad's like, the man was married for 9 years and he's got 2 grown children. What are you talking about baggage? How do you think her parents feel?
That's exactly what her parents probably said.
And
why
like
is she
when you
marrying a
have
man
that,
with baggage?
when you have that perspective and you change your perspective and things, and you go, "Oh man, it's just so." Like you said, like right in the beginning, why we just get along, man? Just let it go, get along, and let's.
Should and I've said this before. When my partner's ex enters the house, they're familiar. They were married. They have a child together. If they don't hug and kiss each other in a familiar way, I would find that very suspicious. What's going on? Why aren't you guys? Because they were married, and and I'll say this out loud. And this is, guys need to hear this, because we're very visual creatures and we have these images in our head. If you are with somebody who was married before, in a relationship before, the worst, most sexiest sexual thing that couples can do. They did that. Okay, just deal with it. Just deal with
Get
it.
over it, yeah.
Just deal with it. Handle it. Get over it in your head and understand that they have now shared a child and they're going to connect with each other. And if they're laughing about something that happened 20 years ago, just deal with it. Something funny happened. They're having a good memory. Carry on with your life. All right. But should it go that far? Am I overstating the extent to which exes should get along, Lance?
Sure, I think exes should get along, and I mean it's something that I need to work on to reconnect with my ex, so that we can have conversations, important conversations about our children. I think it is important. I mean, at the moment, it's just I'll go and pick the kids up, and hey, if I get a high back, her partner is a wonderful guy. We know each other very well from before. He and I chat, and I'm so glad that
That's fantastic.
my children have a man like that.
Amazing.
In their presence.
So glad you said that.
Great.
Yusuf, am I overstating it? Should exes get on to that extent, or
You know what? I think there's a line, though. There has to be that line. So it's an example. My ex-wife and I, we did the Cape Town Marathon last year together, right? So we used to run together a lot. Now we'll do a race maybe together, but the training, no. You shouldn't be doing that training anymore. So what we did was, when we used to run together, that's when we discussed the kids, which was great.
Nice.
But we still make time for that. But like I said, obviously you have a wife now. So there's lines. You don't have to now completely just cut them off.
Yeah.
Don't work like that. Just doesn't work like that. But I do think there's lines that you shouldn't cross now, that you were comfortable with before. You shouldn't be as comfortable with now. That's just my opinion.
Understood. And I think that needs to be agreed upon as well. Gentlemen, it was so informative. I think we can carry on for a very long time.
Sure.
There's so many variables to blended families. This was a good way, just as an overview, because I think that some of this was a little bit different, a little bit unique, a little bit novel, but also quite, I think, normal and modern. And this is what people deal with these days. If there's a particular blended family aspect that you would like to focus on, maybe yours is very different from the norm, and you'd like to hear what I think of it, what others think of it, guests think of it, down at the bottom, let me know. And let me know what you think of episode 1 of Blended Agenda. And we will catch up with Lance and Yusuf again in future episodes. Pretty sure they've got lots more stories to tell.
And I need to cook. I was going to make my lasagna, which my daughter says is the best thing that I can make.
Yusuf says this is the
Okay.
best chicken.
Try it. Egg stir fry, egg fried rice.
There you go, Lance.
Thank you, sir.
From noodles, buns, and bones, they are just amazing. They make the best kusistas on a Sunday morning. They are just down the road from you.
Yeah, man, dude, come all the way on a
Plumstead,
Sunday
it's worth it, I
morning
promise you.
from
I promise you it's worth it. That's the best kusista I've ever had.
They
But
are
how's this food?
not bad.
Yeah,
I would say, wouldn't disagree with you entirely.
I thank you very much.
Thank you, Yusuf. Thank
And
you
that is my
for doing
cooking.
the shopping for us. Cheers, everybody.
It was good.
Ciao. Lekker? Told you guys.
Lekker, thank you.
Please, you guys must
Mommy Van Delusions.